The crystal oyster above the dining table caught the afternoon light and threw rainbows over my parents' faces as they laughed at me. Really laughed? My father, Klaus Muller, was leaning back in his chair so far that I thought he was going to fall over right away. And my mother, Petra, wore this condescending grin that I've known all my life, pinned on her perfectly made-up face. "Honey," Dad said, wiping tears from his eyes, as if I had just told the best joke of the year. "We don't need your pocket money. This is a 40 million euro company," Mom added, looking at her manicured nails. "What are you going to do? Buy us a coffee?" I was sitting there, the fork froze halfway to the moon, and the fried duck suddenly tasted like ashes. Sunday lunch at the family estate had always been a tradition, but lately it felt more like a weekly reminder of my place in the family hierarchy, somewhere under the gardener and just above the decorative vases. "I just wanted to help," I said quietly. The quarterly reports show. The reports since laughter died down and was replaced by that cold tone he used in board meetings. "Matilda, you're working at some tech startup and doing what else was that all the same? Social media management, that's cute. But Muller Holdings has been in this family for 3 generations. I think we know what we're doing." 3 generations. He kept throwing that at my feet. What he conveniently forgot, I was the 4th generation, whether he acknowledged it or not. "Klaus, don't be too hard," Mom said, but her eyes said something else. "Matilda is trying hard. She bought this small apartment in Friedrichshain all by herself. We should be proud of that. This little apartment that I had bought with my own money. Money they didn't know about. I'm not saying that you're doing something wrong." I tried again and kept my voice calm. "I'm just saying that, given the changes in the commercial real estate market, perhaps one should diversify." "Matilda, dear," interrupted me, and turned off his wineglass with a sharp clink. "Once you've built something from the ground up, once you've mastered real business challenges, then maybe you can just maybe sit at the table of the greats and talk about strategy." Something in me got a crack. It didn't break. It cracked the ice on a frozen lake just before it finally broke apart. From scratch, the words came out sharper than I had intended. "Didn't grandfather set up Muller Holdings? Didn't you inherit it?" The temperature in the room seemed to decrease by 20 degrees. "That's enough," Mom drove at me. "That's exactly why we don't talk to you about business. You are emotional. You don't understand how things are going." I understood more than you guessed. I understood that Muller Holdings was hopelessly over-indebted. I understood that their biggest client, Bergman Industries, was on the verge of bankruptcy, a message that was not yet public, but my contacts had already whispered to me 3 weeks ago. I understood that the commercial properties that they were so proud of were standing on faults that they stubbornly ignored. And I understood something else. I had enough of being passed over. "You know what? You're right," I said, getting up and dropping my napkin on the table. "I don't understand how things are going. Thank you for the wonderful lunch." "Mata, don't be so dramatic," Dad sighed. "I'm not. I am realistic. Have a good appetite with the duck." I left the dining room with my head held high, but my hands were shaking as I got into my car. 28 years. Years in which I had been smacked over the head with a smile and told that I was leaving the real work to the adults. 28 years in which I had watched my younger brother Lucas being prepared for a leadership role, while I was being encouraged to look for a nice hobby. This nice hobby that they made fun of. It was not social media management. It was the tech company that I had founded 6 years ago at the age of 22, right after graduating from business school, which they had only laughed at. "What does a woman want with an MBA?" he had asked, finding a better husband. Instead, I had found 3 brilliant engineers, a gap in the market for AI-supported logistics optimization, and a quiet determination to prove that the Muller business acumen had skipped a generation, had passed right over my father and landed firmly with me. My company, Streamline Solutions, was not listed on the stock exchange. We liked it like this. No press releases, no Prestige headquarters, only results, customers, and an evaluation that had reached the new job mark last year. I had built up my investment portfolio carefully and quietly, with the help of my investment manager Friedrich Werner, a shark in a tailor-made suit who understood that sometimes the best move of power is the one that no one sees coming. I was sitting in the circular driveway of my parents, the engine was running, and pulled out my cell phone. For a moment, my finger hovered over Friedrich's contact. Would I really do that? Then I remembered the laughter, the condescending grin. Pocket money, small apartment, table of the big ones. I typed quickly. Withdraw all support from Muller Holdings. All. I want our share to be liquidated by the opening of the market tomorrow. No advance warnings. The 3 dots appeared immediately. Friedrich was always fast. Are you sure? This will trigger your emergency protocols. You have a board meeting in 10 minutes. My thumb was hovering over the screen. That was the nuclear option. Muller Holdings didn't know it, but through a series of letterbox companies and strategic investments I had made over the past 4 years, I actually controlled 33% of their operational financing. Not the ownership structure. They would never sell to external investors, but the lines of credit, the investment commitments for their development projects, the bridging loans that kept everything running smoothly. I had never told them. Why to? They had never asked me what I was really doing. They had never been interested in my life beyond superficial courtesies. For her, I was still little Matilda, who played with dolls and whose pocket money had to be managed. I am sure, I wrote back, it is being carried out now. Mata, they will know that it was you. Good. I put the car in gear and drove back to my apartment. Excuse me to my small apartment, which has floor-to-ceiling windows with a view of the Spree, with original art by up-and-coming Berlin artists with a home office, from which I ran a company that employed 237 people. The journey took 40 minutes. 40 minutes, during which my mobile phone vibrated continuously with messages that I did not read, and calls that I did not answer. Should they panic? Should they desperately try to figure out why their safety nets were suddenly full of holes? When I arrived home, poured myself a whiskey, and sat down on my balcony to watch the city lights reflected in the river, I had 17 missed calls from Dad, 9 from Mom, and a voice message from Thomas Schmidt, her CFO, who just said, "Matilda, call me right away. It's urgent." I took a sip of my whiskey and watched as an excursion ship passed below, full of laughing people taking pictures. The evening is warm, perfect for Berlin in late spring. Somewhere on the other side of the city, in her immaculate boardroom with its mahogany table and leather armchairs, my parents just realized that her foundation was made of sand. My phone rang again. Gee. I let it ring out. Then a message came. Matilda, something happened with our investments. We need to talk. This is serious. Seriously? Now it was serious. Not when I had warned them about market shifts. Not when I offered to help you analyze your portfolio. Now another message. This time by Lucas. What the hell did you do? He's totally freaking out. My brother, Golden Boy Lucas, had given the man a VP post at the age of 25, although his business resembled that of a houseplant. We weren't close. He had stopped calling me except when he needed something, mostly money I gave him without telling our parents, because despite everything, he was still my brother. I did not answer any of them. Instead, I called Friedrich. You have created quite a situation, he said in greeting. Tell me, the extraordinary board meeting has just come to an end. You are in crisis mode. Without the support we have provided, you will not be able to complete the development deal in Heidelberg. Your credit lines have been exhausted, and you are facing Magin calls for 3 major positions. The matter with Bergman is about to become public, which will wipe out another 15% of their asset base. How much time do you have if you cannot secure alternative financing? 2 weeks, maybe 3. The banks get nervous as soon as the minor news is out, then it's a domino effect. I took another sip of whiskey. And if you would ask nicely, if you would actually listen, Friedrich's laugh was dark. Then you could be the White Knight. But Matilda, are you sure? These are your parents. These are people who have treated me like an inconvenience all my life. My parents are the people who should have believed in me. Understandable. What is your next step? I am waiting. And waiting I did. I did not take calls, did not answer messages. On Monday mornings, I went to work as usual, managed my company, held meetings, checked code with my engineering team. My assistant Sophie noticed that something was wrong. I was distracted, constantly looked at my phone, but she did not ask. On Tuesday afternoon, they were in my office. Sophie answered the intercom. Matilda, there are two people here who want to talk to you. They say they are your parents. You don't have an appointment. I looked at the glass walls of my corner office, at the open work area where my team was working together, at all the evidence of everything I had built without them. Send her in. He looked older than he did on Sunday. Mum's makeup could not quite hide the fine cracks of stress. They stopped in the doorway and let their gaze wander over the modern furnishings, the awards on the walls, and the view over the city. "This is your office?" Mum asked. And for the first time I could remember, she sounded insecure. "The conference room is this way," I said, leading her into a private room. Through the glass walls, I could see how my team was trying not to stare. We sat down one by one. For a long moment, no one spoke. Matilda finally told Date, "We need to talk about the investment situation. We don't have to play games." Thomas traced it back. "The letterbox companies, the investment articles. That's all you are, right? You've been financing half of our businesses for years. 33%, and yes." Mom's hand went to her neck. How do you have so much money?" I almost had to laugh. Almost? You never asked me what I was doing, did you? You didn't ask me once about my company, my work, my life. Social media management. That's what you thought I was for, and you never questioned it. You lied to us, Mom said. I told you that I started a tech company. You laughed and asked when I was looking for a real job. I told you that I'm fine. You've changed the subject. I didn't lie, you just never listened. Dar's jaw swelled up. We are here to ask you to reconsider. The company is the legacy of your grandfather. My grandfather's note. The words burned as they came to my lips. The legacy you told me about is not mine because I am a daughter. This legacy. Matilda, please, Mum said. We are family. Family, I repeated, tasting the word. Family listens to each other. Family does not make fun of each other's success. Family does not laugh when someone offers help. We did not know exactly. I jumped up, unable to stay seated any longer. You didn't know because you never bothered to know. I am your daughter, and you have treated me like a disappointing hobby for 28 years. He stood up too, his face flushed. We are on the verge of losing everything. The company, the real estate I know. I've known it for months. I tried to warn you on Sunday. You laughed at me. The silence was deafening. What do you want? Dee finally asked, and his voice sounded different. Small money control. Name your price. I sat down again, suddenly exhausted. I don't want your money. I also don't want any control over Muller Holdings. Hope flickered across their faces. What I want, I continued, is for you to understand something. Success has nothing to do with inheritance. It's not about being born into the right family or having the right surname. It's about vision, hard work, and being ready to see what's really happening and not what you want. So you make us fail. Mom's voice broke to prove a point. No, I said quietly. I will help you, but not because you asked so nicely, but because, despite everything, I am not like you. I don't need the failure of others to feel successful. I pulled out my laptop and opened a file I had prepared. That's how it's going to go. I will refinance your debt through a new structure. You guys keep operational control, but I'm putting new board members and people I trust and really understand the modern business world. Thomas remains CFO, but you hire a COO who actually runs the day-to-day operations. And you? Date asked. I'm staying out of it. I don't want an office at Muller Holdings. I don't want my name on the building. I have to run my own business. I handed them the laptop. But Lucas, he's coming to me. For a year, he learns how business really works. After that, he can go back, if that's what you want. You're driving the family apart, Mom whispered. No, I'm giving everyone a chance to see the reality. The family had long been broken up. You just didn't notice it because I was the only one who was looking. An hour later, they left with documents to look through and lawyers who had to call them. The ripening would save Muller Holdings, but it would be a different company. Smart, smarter, less arrogant. After they left, Sophie knocked on my door. It's okay, I'll get there, I said. They really didn't know that. From everything she pointed to the office, the company. People see what they expect to see. They were expecting a daughter who needed to be rescued. They got a woman who learned to save herself. That evening, alone in my apartment, my beautiful, perfectly sized apartment, I got a message from Lucas. I'm game. Teach me everything. Another one from Mom. Excuse me, that we didn't see you. And finally from Dad, your grandfather would be proud of you. I should have told you that years ago. I let them all go and felt how the crack in my heart began to heal a little. But I did not answer. Not yet. Some things take time. Some wounds need distance to heal properly. Instead, I opened up my laptop and started working on the quarterly forecasts for Streamline Solutions. The next day, there was a presentation in front of investors, a product launch, and a brother who had to be trained. So the Miller's business acumen had not skipped a generation after all. He had only taken a detour, had found his own way, and learned to build something real without a safety net. And somehow that was enough. Thanks for watching. Give a like if you liked this story. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and click on the map above to see more stories like this one.